I think this is fair to say, but most of us would be pretty scared to get bitten by a snake, even one time. But a man in the U.S. let it happen more than 200 times.
2 bites. Nice. Son of a bitch. Thank you.
Okay, there's a reason for all this. So a self-taught snake expert exposed himself to different kinds of venom for nearly 20 years, and he did it on purpose. So now his blood could become the ultimate anti-venom. Here to explain this one is CTV science and technology specialist Dan Riskin. What? Have you ever been bitten by a snake?
No, I've never been bitten by a snake. I'm really happy about that.
Me too.
Yeah.
But this guy's been letting snakes bite him for 18 years.
Yeah,
Walk us
yeah.
through
Well,
why.
he started off. So he's a guy who had a collection of venomous snakes in his basement.
Okay.
And sometimes he got the idea that maybe what he would like to do is take very small amounts of the venom and inject them into himself. So he started with small injections. Don't try this at home. Don't try this at home.
Yeah, fair.
With that camera. Don't try it. Do not. Do not let venomous snakes bite you at home or inject yourself with venom.
Do we know why he wanted to do that in the first place?
It seems like it came from a place of sort of, he had some dark stuff going on.
Okay.
And this is the way he chose to spend his time, which is a very interesting psychological profile that is tangential to the medical uses that come from this. But he started injecting himself. He had 16 different species of venomous snakes in his house.
Wow.
He starts harvesting the venom and injecting it into himself. 856 injections later, and 18 years later, he's ramped up the magnitude, and he's tried it with a whole bunch of different species. And then he gets to the point where he's like, I think I can handle this. And then he's letting the snakes bite him, and he did that more than 200 times. And you know, he's like a celebrity on Reddit, basically. Wow. And then a researcher who studies antivenoms is like, wait a second, you can be bitten by multiple different species and not die? So that's a big deal, because an antivenom is always species specific. Like if you get bitten by this snake, you have to get the right antivenom for that snake.
Right.
The other antivenoms won't work. They're all really specific. So this guy in his blood potentially has some kind of chemicals that are going to protect you against all snakes.
I'm going to back you up again. So he's injecting the venom. Did we know if he had any wild reaction?
He had some very bad reactions. He had a couple of different, he's passed out several times. There was talk, I mean, he's kind of vague about exactly what happened. And this is the thing, I mean, a medical researcher couldn't say to somebody, we want you to do this for 18 years so we can harvest your blood. That's not ethical at all. But when you find somebody who's done that for 18 years, you say, can we have some samples of your blood? And so they took a look at his blood. They found some antibodies in it that turn out to work really well against a whole bunch of different snakes, a bunch of very, very dangerous snakes that bite people in the world all the time.
So the researchers found this out. So they go to him and they say, okay, we want to take a look at your blood, right? And the makeup of it. And so what is his blood being used for at this point?
So now at this point, what they've done is they've isolated some proteins that are in his blood. They've made an antivenom out of that, and they've tested it on mice. And they tested it with 19 different kinds of venomous snakes, and it worked against 13 of them and partially protected against 6 of them. And that is just like off the charts amazing for an antivenom, because normally, as I said, an antivenom is just for one species, and here you have it working against a whole bunch.
So what's the bigger picture here? Like, what do we do with this?
Well, the bigger picture is that around the world, like 100,000 people die every year because they're bitten by snakes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge problem.
That's an unbelievable number.
It's an unbelievable number that we don't even consider in this part of the world, because it's not part of our everyday lives, you know, living here. But it is, around the world, it's a massive problem. And it's people in poor communities, and it's kids in poor communities. So finding better antivenoms is a hugely important thing, and this may lead to a cocktail that could be sitting on a shelf at a hospital in India where there are multiple venomous snakes, so that when a kid comes in and doesn't know which snake bit him, you say, give him the one that came from Tim, and then that could give it a sort of robust antibody protection against a whole bunch of different venoms.
So in theory, they're going to be able to mimic whatever's going on in his blood?
Well,
because Tim only has so much blood.
Oh, no. Once they've isolated the proteins, they can make more of the proteins. So once basically it's like figuring out what the answer to the puzzle is. And once they get that from his blood, they can manufacture as much as they want.
That is wild.
Yeah.
What a wild story.
What a wild story. Wild.
Dan Riskin.
Story.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks for that.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.